Welcome to podcast number 205. Are you implementing too fast? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome again to the Elevate Construction Podcast. We absolutely love that you're signing on to these and listening. We love that you stay with us. Really hoping that you're enjoying the podcast content. This is all tailored to construction and concepts that I feel are relevant and that respond to the questions and comments that you have from clients, from practitioners, from listeners, from everyone else. Sometimes we have really deep technical content. Sometimes it's about leadership. Sometimes it's about responses to the things that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And I just want to say that I love you. I hope that, and I mean that, the reason for this podcast is to give. It's all free. It's free giving of our time. We're at podcast number 205. That's amazing. If you do, I don't math very well, but if you do, I'll do that on my computer real quick. And this isn't bragging. This is just a labor of love here. If you do 205, I'm typing on my computer, times, they're an average of about 25 minutes. That's 5,125 minutes worth of podcast. Let's divide that by 60. That's 85 hours worth of podcast. That's crazy. And they're, most of them are 45 minutes, so it's probably 100 hours worth of podcast. That's super cool. Like I said, excited that you're with us all the time. And please keep giving us feedback. We have good ratings on the podcast. We have good ratings, good comments. We have good ratings on the book. We have lots of great stuff coming into the website. We're starting to build a little bit of a movement here, making good progress, hoping to get the business to a point where it's not just me. We can have more people that are with the Elevate Construction brand to serve you better. So let's keep rolling. Let's see what 2021 can do. Just did a blog post and sent it out to a wonderful organization. We're about to do some webinars, some presentations in universities. I mean, we are just on a roll because of you, the stuff that we're replying to, and the content that this industry has to offer. So we have a really beautiful podcast for you tonight. Great content. I just went through it and I'm like, oh my gosh. Every now and then when you're a podcast host, especially doing it's called a solo podcast, doing content by yourself, the thought is, will I ever run out of content? And the outlines get longer and longer and longer and longer, and it's like, we're always going to have content. And then the more and more I get through it, it's like, I don't have time to put this as its own podcast. I'm just going to loop it into one of the existing ones. Like tonight, there was a little snippet from one of Jim Collins' books that I was like, this is too good. I've got to get it in there. So just great things happening. Super excited. I mean, just living life, living the dream. Kids are good. Family's good. Katie's right now editing the Fable with Joan Wilden for Elevating Construction Takt Planning. I really think we're on track to get that out in the next 3 weeks. The other thing that I was surprised about is people like her voice and the narration. So we're going to do that again. Would love your feedback on that. What else was I going to say? Oh, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland right now, out hanging out with some of my best friends. I think I can say that I'm with the DPR crew, hanging out with some of these folks. They're doing some cool things. We're going to have some events coming up, and I'm just glad to be with my peeps, some of the best in the industry. And so I fly back on Wednesday, and then I'll head out on Wednesday with some of my kids to go finish up the field engineer boot camp that I'm doing with Oakland Construction. There's just so much training. I wish I could in fact, I decided I'm going to FaceTime some of the people I work with on Thursday and Friday so they can get a glimpse into it. It's so cool, so fun. Just, this life is good. Life is just too good. So we'll go ahead and head in and go down this podcast today. Got some, I'm telling you, some great content today. So I wanted to tell you that I had a business meeting the other day with a CEO. He's actually a CEO. I don't know how you do that, but of multiple companies. Maybe he's on the board for one. I don't know, but great businessman, great business leader, and he's very practical. He was like, Jason, ultimately, business is, do you bring in more money than you spend? You know what I mean? And just very practical, down to earth. Really appreciate that about him. He was telling me, we were talking about boat analogies. I always say, stay at the helm, keep the, steer the ship. Who's in charge of the ship? I like ship analogies, and I've told you this once before, but I'll tell you again. He said, when you're with companies and when you're consulting and when companies need, self-evaluate, the question is, even if you're headed in the right direction, do you have so many holes that you're going to sink before you hit that direction, right? So sometimes it's just about showing people the holes, right? So if you're in an organization or a project, are you patching the holes? Sometimes this is people, sometimes this is, excuse me for a minute. So sorry about that. I had a little something there in my throat. But anyway, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's your product, sometimes it's your process. But if you can show somebody the holes, then those can be patched and you can head on your direction and make it to your destination. So one of the things that has really been on my mind lately is specifically wrapped around making personnel changes when it's the right time. All of us on this podcast believe that people should be given the right training, the opportunities, the environment, the systems to succeed. Sometimes, though, we have to make sure that key positions are filled with the right folks, and we have to make some hard decisions. So I'm going to read you, and I don't do this a lot. Most of the time I'm just going from my outline and talking to you person to person, but I'm going to read you a little excerpt from something that Jim Collins said, because it was so beautiful, so profound, and so many of us need this right now. And in fact, I would say this is probably one of the biggest problems that I see organizations, teams, or companies have. It's about what do we do with people that aren't a cultural fit. So here we go. This is Jim Collins speaking, and this is an excerpt. It's a quote. It's a direct citation. I get asked all the time, okay, so I buy the idea of the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, the right people in the right seats. But can you tell me a bit more about the characteristics of the right people? Are there any generic characteristics of what we're looking for in the right people? And then he says, as I see it, there are 5 basic characteristics, 5 basic criteria for being a right person on the bus. First, the person must share the core values of the institution or the organization you are building. I've had people come to my laboratory and say, Jim, how do we get people to share our core values? My answer is always the same. You don't. You can't. You can't get people to share your core values. You can't give people new core values halfway through life. As Harry Truman once said, if somebody doesn't know the difference between right and wrong by the time they're 30, they probably never will. No. The whole task is to find people who are already predisposed to your core values, already inside them, latent perhaps, or maybe they're already ignited. But if they aren't there, it's something you can draw upon. Or if they're already there, it's something you can draw upon. Those who do not have a predisposition to sharing the core values get ejected like a virus, escorted right out the door by the organizational antibodies. So principle 1, they must share the core values. Number 2, a right person on the bus is not somebody whom you need to manage. The moment you feel the need to manage somebody or tightly manage them, you've probably made a hiring mistake. And I would go back to Patrick Lencioni on this. I'm a little off topic here. Everybody needs management or coaching, whatever you want to call it, or mentorship. I would like to stick with the tightly manage them. If you have to tightly manage somebody, you've probably made a hiring mistake. In fact, that is one of your key clues that you might have the wrong person on the bus. You know how you have 2 different types of people. You have some people whom you guide and you teach and you lead and you provide them knowledge and understanding and you help them to become better in their roles, but you don't spend a lot of time compensating for them. You don't spend a lot of time trying to manage the wrong person into the right behaviors. Then there's somebody else on the bus who takes a whole lot of time and energy, and they're draining because you're trying to manage for the fact that they're just the wrong person. The moment you feel the need to manage somebody, you've probably made a hiring mistake, meaning manage them tightly. Number 3, in key positions, do they have exceptional capability? Defined as the following. In the seat that they hold, could they potentially be one of the best in the industry or one of the best in the field in which your organization operates in that particular seat? It doesn't necessarily mean that they actually are the best in that seat, but it is at least possible that they could eventually become one of the best. And I would add from Entrepreneurship 2.0, could the person on that seat possibly be in a position to ignite, create, or continue key strategic growth for the company in that seat because it's so vital? Number 4, the individual understands the difference between having a job and holding a responsibility. My assistant Vicky gets this so well. When we first began working together, I tried to explain to her, and I succeeded, I suppose, because she grabbed onto this so successfully. I said, Vicky, you don't really have a job here. You have a responsibility. She looked at me quizzically. She'd come out of places like AT&T where it wasn't necessarily clear that people understood this distinction. I said, let me put it to you this way. If you were an air traffic controller and you did a good job, you did all the right things, but the plane still crashed, would it matter? No, it wouldn't matter, because the truth is you have a responsibility that goes far beyond just having a job. The responsibility to worry 3 steps ahead to ensure that the planes don't crash. That sense of having a broader sense of responsibility rather than having a job. The ability to get that distinction is one of the crucial dimensions of the right people on the bus. They are what I would describe as productively neurotic. If they see a hole, they feel the need to fill it and to make it better. And I would say from his book, Entrepreneurship 2.0, he says, could somebody who's just doing their job in that role encounter or create or continue or drift into a strategic failure which would be high risk or catastrophic? And that's from his book, Entrepreneurship 2.0. I'm adding that. And he says, then finally, last question, the last criterion. If you're really wrestling with whether somebody is the right person on the bus, think about this. Ask yourself the following litmus test question. If it were a hiring decision all over again, given everything that you know, having worked with this person, would you still hire them? And then the other one that that he puts into Entrepreneurship 2.0 is, if that person submitted their resignation tomorrow, would you be upset? And if the answer is no, you've probably made a wrong hiring decision. And so I just want to say that after the right coaching, all of those things, if somebody needs to get off the bus or even change into a different seat but stay on the bus, we need to make those decisions. And what he says in Entrepreneurship 2.0 is the number one metric a company should ask is, for the key positions that this company needs, do I have over 90, I can't remember if it's 90 or 95% of the right people in my key positions in an organization? If the answer is no, you have work to do. And this was so good, so timely. I had to throw it into this podcast, even though we're talking about implementing too fast. Oh, the other thing is, he said, when surveying great CEOs, some of them which had a tendency to go to training more, some of them which had a tendency towards removing them from the organization more, all of them said they wish they would have acted more quickly with these decisions. So let's continue on. I've got 2 other things before we get into the podcast of implementing too fast. That's what we're going to cover today. Are you implementing too fast? So what am I excited about? I'm excited about, and it seems like I've got a lot going, but most of these are like little toy soldiers wound up and heading on their own in a good direction, just doing great things. What am I excited about? Getting some contacts with universities that are considering using the content that we have from some of our trainings, some of our books in their courses, and I'm excited. What I would love is to have elevating construction superintendents, Takt planning, field engineering, these into as many universities as absolutely possible, and have people learning and engaging with that content. So that was pretty cool. I hope that continues. I wanted to mention some feedback from our fans. I wanted to do this one. I think I read part of it to you before. But I'm going to do this again because I want to be clear that I have on the outline for the next 2 weeks specifically BIM and clash detection. So here's what he says. You're the bomb, Jason. I absolutely love your podcast. Number one, I'm on the owner side, so if you have any research that can correlate a clean and respectful site to more profitability, less mistakes, that would be great. Number two, talk about BIM clash detection soon, please. Number three, how to get people as excited as you. You are a wonderful human and a role model, and a little heart symbol there. So, in the next two, excuse me, I had a little hiccup. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about building information modeling. The other thing is I do not have research on the owner side on that correlates to a clean and respectful job site. There's a couple things off the top of my head. For the last planner system for projects that are above 80% percent promised is complete, they have proven to be under budget, on time, with good quality. If you're under that percentage, statistics show that that is not the case. I will say that by using these systems, I have never finished a project late or with a crash landing using these systems. That's one metric. The other thing is I was able to work with an organization that was finishing projects at a percentage of 55 to 68%, depending on when you measured it. And through the implementation of Takt planning and operational control systems, like I talk about all the time, the completion rate went up to 88% to the substantial completion date. And that was a huge jump, and they're continuing on. So I can give you, and I would love to get in front of a group if you ever have difficulty selling things like this. Especially if you're attempting to, select a contractor. I'd love to be on your selection committee if you want. But I have direct examples that could be put into a study, but I don't have any white papers. If anybody else does have any white papers, let me know. Send it my way. I'll send it to the person that asked me this. So that was the feedback. Really appreciate that. Let's get into some conflict. You are going too slow. So I'll tell you just some little citations here from my life. I've seen companies where they're adapting and changing and really growing and being nimble. And it's funny, you'll hear the directors and PMs and other people be like, I feel like you're going too fast, you're going too fast. Then I've been around some other companies where certain individuals in the organization will be like, be careful, you might be going too fast, you might be going too fast. And it surprises me because I believe that it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow. And there's a book actually on that you can reference. Most of the time, it's that people aren't taking everybody with them on that fast journey. It's not that they're going too fast. Let me give you an example. I once had direct involvement and was the director for a scheduling department, and there were 13, 14 full-time schedulers, huge company, and there was a lot more people in support roles within that organization, so they had a full department. And with that, we first shook up the team a little bit, got the right leaders in the right seats, had a leadership team of 4 within that group. They were fantastic, different skills. They were actually in different geographical locations. Started huddle systems, implementing the Patrick Lencioni models, and we were able to really drive change so fast that I would say that they overcame, from a scheduling perspective, most of the ailments of scheduling on the projects and outpaced some of the best companies in the industry. Now, if people were like, well, you're going too fast. Well, here's what you have to do. You have to make sure you're taking the people with you, listening to their ideas, using their ideas with you. And once you establish something, you have to give it a month or a couple weeks or whatever time it needs to get it to where it's actually a discipline within the system reinforced by human systems. And so in this example, we had Microsoft Teams, wiki sites, all of our daily huddle boards, weekly meeting systems and agendas that reinforced every decision, every nimble, fast decision that was made to accomplish the goals. And it was fantastic. So I would say that most of the time it's not that companies and organizations are going too fast, it's that they're not taking people with them. I've seen it over and over, whether it's a company or a department. You can move fast, but you have to take people with you, and you have to reinforce the changes on a permanent level through human systems, and you have to make sure that you're not going irresponsibly fast and just going after the new shiny object. So when you hear people say, well, you're going too fast, either it's a legitimate concern, or 50%, maybe 60% of the time, most of the time people will say that comment as a facade for the fact that they're afraid of getting out of their comfort zone, meaning you're moving their cheese. And we did a great podcast with Jake Williams on moving somebody's cheese, right? We have to be constantly adapting for the current market conditions and going where we need to go, and especially in eliminating waste. And the reason that people hem and haw around, which is ties to that book that I'm talking to you about, is because you're moving their sense of accomplishment. You're moving their sense of dignity. You're moving their sense of security. You're moving what they're good at. Meaning, like, for instance, I've been a little bit negative about CPM lately because it's a broken system and it doesn't work, right? There are so many people that are going to be mad at me and stop listening to the podcast because that bothers them. That I've moved their cheese. That's something. That's where they get their significance, their position, their money, their certainty in life, right? And so I've moved that. They're going to be mad at me. Or what they can do is be nimble and adapt to the better systems, which are Takt planning, Last Planner, and Scrum, right? So that's going to happen in organizations. And if somebody's taken out of their comfort zone because now you're changing the rules of the game, a game that they feel like they've already won and they don't want to have to go earn their paycheck every day, then you are going to get some pushback, and they're going to say things like you're going too fast because they're afraid. And, I look at my position, and especially in business, I have to earn my stripes. There are not stripes. I have to earn my position every day. I've got to come and show up and give 100% every day. I never have tenure. I never have job security. I'm never just here. I'm always, every day I could get fired. Every day I have to earn my keep, my money. I have to earn my food, whatever you want to call it. I have to prove myself. And I would always be skeptical about people that look at their job as a job instead of looking at it like a responsibility. I hate the concept of tenure with professors. Why would you do that? Who gets tenure? You got to come in and earn your pay every single day. That's absolute garbage. I will never have tenure. I will always be earning that. And so be skeptical of that. So most of the time people are just out of their comfort zone, so they're going to say, hey, I think you're going too fast. Most of the time the problem actually is you're not going too fast. You actually need to go faster. What you need to do is go together with total participation. And so some companies do not build these sustaining systems. They don't catalog it. They don't let it become a part of the culture. They don't reinforce the behavior. They don't reinforce it through human systems. They don't reinforce the accountability systems. They don't give it time to sink in. They don't have references so people can come back to it. They don't make it simple enough for people. They don't do the switch, which is a great book, but it talks about you have to repeat something 7 times intellectually, emotionally, and you have to shape the path. You have to clear the path and make it easy for people to head in that direction until it becomes a self-sustaining culture. Okay, some people don't do that. Some companies don't do that. That's a mistake. And so I do want to go back to the concept of fast. And so this comes from summaries.com, and it's from a summary of it's not the big that eat the slow. It's the big that eat the small. It's the fast that eat the slow. Hold on. Yeah, it's not the big that eat the small. It's the fast that eat the slow. So here we go. Main idea, plain and simple. The modern world is thoroughly obsessed with speed, which is fine for those companies which are prepared to embrace speed, which you need to be, as a natural competitive weapon and gear up to move faster than their competitors. Being faster, however, is not necessarily the direct result of doing anything unique. More often, organizational speed is the result of being smart enough to first identify and then progressively eliminate the speed bumps that slow everything else down, right? Even in organizations and building businesses, it's about flow and removing roadblocks. By ruthlessly and steadily eliminating speed bumps, while simultaneously making lightning fast speed an integral part of their competitive advantage. Fast people and their companies learn to execute better than anyone else. The 4 key elements of speed as a competitive tool in business are: number 1, think fast. Number 2, make decisions quickly. Number 3, get to market faster than others. Number 4, sustain and maintain velocity. And there's some interesting research that I've been reading lately that some people think that the best leaders in history have made really slow decisions, thoughtful decisions. In fact, it's a lean concept to make decisions slowly and to implement fast. But actually, most of the history shows that leaders that got better and better at making decisions in a timely manner at the right speed more quickly than they otherwise would have ended up being primarily they're mostly successful. Number 1, think fast. Number 2, make decisions quickly with the group, with the team. Number 3, get to market faster than others. Number 4, sustain and maintain velocity. Finally, the key management question is not how do we become faster, but is instead, what can we do to eliminate the speed bumps that slow everyone else down? Answer that, and you'll find your own blueprint to becoming a fast company. The other thing that makes me skeptical about the "you're going too fast" comment is that most of the time the companies where I hear this, where they're doing great things, all they're doing is creating a lean culture and fixing what bugs them and adding more value to the employees and to the customers, which means that we have to adapt, right? And I think most people that have created silos and little kingdoms within their company, within these companies, are pushing back against it because, again, they don't want to lose their position, right? But it's uncomfortable, right? So it's better the devil that you know than the angel that you don't, right? And I would just say I'm encouraging all of you wonderful companies that are having lean cultures and fixing what bugs you, go fast, but do it together. So let's cover a couple of these things. Think fast. You have to be able to anticipate problems and see these roadblocks. You have to be able to spot industry trends. For those people in COVID-19 that didn't switch to webinars and online learning and remote events with technology, and if they didn't spot those trends and adapt quickly, they're obsolete, right? A lot of these companies are out of business, right? You must put every idea through the grinder with the team and do that quickly, but you have to get it through the team. You have to have your Pixar moment where you review it and you get down to the brass tacks and you bring people together with you and let the best idea win out. The faster you can do that teaming, the better off you're going to be. Number 2, make decisions quickly. You must create rules, parameters, guidelines, bumpers, guidelines is what I'm going to say, where a company knows how they can support rapid decisions and then reinforce those decisions through, what did I call that? Human systems. Yes, sorry about that. You need to eliminate the bureaucracy to get those things to scale and give it time. Unbundle everything to where things aren't tied up and hidden. Make sure that it's visible, accessible, quick, fast, and relevant. And you need to make sure that you're constantly reassessing and making sure that it is becoming a part of the culture, it is reinforced, it is accessible, and that you are repeating it often enough, and that you have reached people's minds, hearts, and shaped the path, and you have done that 7 times. Get to market faster than others. This is key. And I've done this a couple of times. I'm doing it right now with the Takt planning book. I want to be the first one to market for that Takt planning book. My editor is jamming. Katie's going through the story. I'm hoping to have it out maybe even in 2 weeks. I want it to be the first book, definitive book about Takt planning. The first one out will be the one that wins. So am I going to freak out about spelling errors for the next 8 months? No. Am I going to make sure that all of my graphics are perfect until ad nauseum, like I've waited too long? No, because I'm going to release a competitive advantage. And if you're listening to this podcast and you have a Takt book, you better hurry up because I'm about 2 weeks away from publishing it, and it's going to be a hit because it's fantastic. So get to market faster than others. Launch a crusade. Get it going. Get your momentum. And play the game according to your rules. Use speed as a competitive advantage. Enlist vendors and suppliers. Stay below the radar, which I didn't just do, but stay below the radar of your competitors. Keep it simple. Make sure you're innovating along the way, and make sure that you have a launch quickly enough to where you can get out in the market and set the standard, play the game according to your rules. Then the other thing is sustain and maintain velocity. Calculate the odds, the probability, then prove it to yourself and make sure you're headed in the right direction and that you have velocity. Apply resources ruthlessly. Make sure that you're measuring according to key metrics. Maintain financial flexibility. Use stories and narratives and inspiration to get your efforts out clearly. Play your own game again. Don't believe your own PR. Actually ask your customers how they're doing. Stay close to your customers and make sure you're delivering value to your employees and to your customers. Don't believe your own PR, and then adapt, improvise, and overcome. And so to summarize, think fast, make decisions quickly, get to market faster than others, and sustain and maintain velocity. Now, how does this apply to construction? We need to be adapting. We need to go quickly. If you were ever on one of my projects and we had a problem, man, we would run it through the grinder, as they say, with the team, and we would implement quickly. And I just snapped my fingers. That's the sound that you heard. We would go fast. And we had one of the most remarkable projects in Arizona at the time. It was in any of the jobs, because we were fast. You have to outpace entropy. And you can use these concepts to lead a company, to lead a team, or to lead a project. You cannot go slow. You cannot have people saying we're going too fast. You have to go fast together and to do the right things, and not, here's a caution, go after just the next shiny thing, because you'll overburden your people, because people only have so much capacity. But if you make it a routine and a culture and reinforce it through human systems, and you make it easy, fast, practical, and relevant, then you should be going fast in the right way. The current condition is we're going too slow. We're not fixing what bugs us. We're not fixing the things that are hurting our people, and we're not outpacing the natural entropy or the destruction or the decay of our projects or our companies. And the other thing is you're not going together. So you need to go fast together. And so here's a challenge. Ask yourself, are you going fast towards what? If it's the next shiny thing, don't do that. Go fast towards fixing what needs to be fixed. Go fast towards taking care of your people. Go fast towards taking care of your customer. Go fast towards making sure that you have the competitive advantage and that you're adding value. Go fast towards your values, towards your principles, towards the vision of your company. Make sure that for anything that you're doing, you're eliminating waste, and focus on removing the speed bumps, removing the roadblocks. And when you have flow like that, you will go fast. So just one quick other thing. I'm reading a book called Entrepreneurship 2.0. I've been through the Patrick Lencioni stuff. I've read the book Own the Gap. All of those talk about getting clarity on the organization and then cascading clarity and alignment. Now, some organizations will get that alignment so that they can control the entire organization. You don't want to do that. You want to get alignment and clarity so that you can enable the rest of the organization with a certain amount of autonomy. And you'll want to do that at the company level, team level, and the project level. My message here is that you need to go fast, fixing what you need to fix, adding value, but do it together, and be cautious of those who are telling you you're going too fast. Most of the time that comes from fear. Make sure you have the right people on the bus, the wrong people off, the right people in the right seats, and that you are, again, and I'm just going to say this one more time, thinking fast, making decisions quickly once you've vetted them with the team, getting to market faster than others, and sustaining and maintaining velocity with your company, your team, your teaming, and your operations. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.